So yeah, welcome everyone to my talk, bringing the best of Web2 UX and security to Web3. And I mean, why is this interesting? I mean, obviously there are billions of users in Web2. If we take a few of the UX concepts there and also security, it's more familiar to them and then easier to onboard more users into the Web3 space. Okay, let's start first of all actually with the users, often, or not often, but sometimes forgotten. So what do normal users want in Web3? And I mean, it's clear, right? They don't care about all the blockchain technologies, the chains, all these things we are talking here, day to day, L1, L2 rollups, all that stuff. I mean, they just want to use and access to applications. So maybe they want to play a game they have heard of, or they want to just invest into crypto. These are the typical things. I mean, we could go deeper in this, but just think of people who are not in crypto today. And yeah, they don't want the complexity we still have in Web3. So let's think of someone who has heard of it and wants to use his first step. What will happen if he would start his journey? And well, the first pain point is actually the wallet, right? So you need a wallet if you click anywhere, and then you have a big choice of wallets. Let's say somehow you make a choice, then you need to go through the wallet experience. You need to, install and download the wallet. Then you need to back up a seed phrase, never heard of a seed phrase, all these things. Then you need to on-ramp ETH to pay fees. So there are a lot of steps a user needs to go through. And yeah, the wallet is actually quite front and center in the blockchain experience. And we at Argent, we are a wallet, but we think it's actually not ideal. It should be much more invisible, and the application, the dApp, should be much more prominent. Yes, so in addition to that, a user actually needs to learn a lot, often the hard way, right? Like security relies on a user's secret, this seed phrase. I mean, most non-custodial wallets today, whether hardware or software, still rely on the seed phrase, and the user needs to take care of it, but he might not really fully understand it. So he might lose basically everything. Another thing is users can't make mistakes. I mean, we have support at Argent for many years. We see it still day to day that things happen like, oh, you made a typo on the address, funds lost. Oh, you signed something on some fraud page, there are tons of them, you lost everything. Or whatever, you have a virus on your computer, which led to bad transactions. And in general, also, it's still very complex. I mean, a user directly interacts with a DeFi dApp, complicated financial primitives, and every operation he needs to kind of click through, right? Like allow or approve, LP rebalancing. I mean, it's quite heavy. So there's still too much friction that normal users can do what they want in Web3. Okay. Now, what would the dream experience look like? So, going through the things like, ideally, you should not need to download or install anything. You should be able to create an account in seconds. You should not need to understand all these complex concepts like seed phrases, transaction fees, and that stuff. Also, you should have a simple way to recover an account. I mean, Web2 users are used to not losing everything. So there should be some way. Then there should be also some fraud detection, because it's early, there's still a lot of scams, so we need something to help the users not to run into everything. Everything should be one click, we believe. And last, also less approvals. Okay, and then if you think about this list, we end up actually Coinbase, one of the big centralized exchanges. I mean, they do quite a good job on that because it fulfills most of the things. It's quite easy to onboard. You don't have all the fraud risks. You have a recovery, and so on and so on. But obviously, what we also strongly believe from the Web3 space, and we have seen many examples why this is important, we still want to have self-custody. This brings us to another example, which is so rare. maybe you know it. It's a game quite popular for trading soccer cards. And they built also quite a cool experience that users from Web2 can easily log in with email password or social login and so on. But you still get a wallet kind of behind the scenes, like more invisible, but it is self-custodial. So they built this for themselves, and it's working quite well. But we think one thing is missing there. It would be much better to port the account actually to multiple dApps, because this is just for Sorare, right? You cannot use this kind of account on other dApps. Okay, so that's what we would like to have. There's one problem, or if you look at this list, a kind of a tension. You want to have all these cool these features, but you also want to have self-custody. And that's a challenge to achieve. But the solution or the secret to that is, as discussed a few times, account abstraction. And we will go into why this enables a new experience. So, what is account abstraction? Very brief. So an account has 4 main functionalities which you want to have. You want to be able to authorize transactions, execute transactions, somehow need to pay the miner, and you need to protect against replay attacks. And yeah, all of this on Ethereum and other EVM chains is hard-coded, so you cannot change it. And the cool thing with account abstraction is now that you can reprogram these things, which opens a huge space for, you can use different signature schemes, elliptic curves, multiple signers, and we will go through examples. We and Argent focus mostly on Starknet because, or one of the main reasons is they have native support of account abstraction. And also to be clear here, it really means there is no EUA anymore. Right? It just doesn't exist on Starknet. Everything is a smart contract, and then coming to wallets, everything is a smart account, which by design, which makes it much more powerful on these features. Okay, now let's go through that. So how AA works, this is just a graphical presentation. So you have your client and the wallet, it has a key. Then you have your account, the smart contract, which 2 functions typically, validate and execute a transaction, and then, well, you sign a transaction, it goes through the account, validation, execution, and then it will call a dApp. Okay, so first thing, multi-calls. I mentioned we would like to have everything one click. So today on Ethereum and so on, I mean, it's not, if you want to have, you need to have 1 transaction per call, right? And finally, we have multi-calls here, so we just program the account in a way that it supports it. So you go through the first call, the outcome of this goes to the second call, and so on and so on. But you can do this then in 1 transaction, which is much better. And we get finally rid of ERC20 approve UX, which we still have on most chains. On Starknet, you already today, all dApps, like DeFi dApps, yeah, it's just 1 click, and they do the multi-call with the approve behind it, which is much more intuitive. Okay, another idea is the paymaster, so getting rid of transaction fees. So I mean, a dApp could decide for the first, whatever, 10,000 users to onboard them, let's just pay for the transactions. And there are multiple ways to do that, and here is one, or the way Starknet will most likely do it. It's not fully there, but you will have a dApp paymaster smart contract, and then it works like that. A client on that dApp would say, no, I don't want to pay for this transaction. It will specify who should pay. I mean, it's the smart contract basically of the dApp, and then it will go through the account. The account will ask this dApp paymaster. This thing will run its validation logic. I mean, basically depending, do they want to pay for this transaction or not? And if yes, it will go through. And this would enable, yeah, very smooth onboarding for new users because they could just play around with things. Okay. Another thing which we would like to have is account recovery with guardians. So to get rid of the problem like, oh, you forgot to back up your seed phrase, you're doomed. So we could do something like, or we have done this actually on Argent, like already on Ethereum, but we do it here as well. You would introduce a recovery service which has a second key, right? And this second key, the only thing it can do, it can recover in the case you lose your key. So, and this we can again implement on the account to make this possible. So let's say there's this bad day, you lose your wallet and your keys, then you need to authenticate to the recovery service, and then the recovery service can basically enable your new key on the account. And then you're back, basically. You might say, like, I don't like this recovery service, is this an entity or whatever? You could also say, okay, you can go ahead, you can use a ledger as a recovery mechanism, right? Or you could say, no, I want to assign this to, let's say, 3 of my best friends, and they should be the guardians in case I lose access to my wallet. That's another option. So it's actually quite simple with account abstraction to implement these things on the account. And yeah, we have done this already. So another powerful idea is fraud detection with 2FA. So again, you could introduce a second key on the fraud monitoring service. And now you would change the logic on the account in a way that you would need, every transaction needs to be co-signed by the fraud monitor as well. And then how it would work, if you're doing something on a dApp, so basically the wallet will send the raw transaction data to the fraud monitoring service, and this can run then all kinds of checks like, do you really want to send to this address? Nobody has seen this before. You can check like, oh, you're moving whatever, 95% of all your assets on the wallet to this malicious address. I mean, there are many very sophisticated solutions to do these checks. And then it's like, okay, if it says, no, it's fine, it will just co-sign it, and the transaction, fully transparent to the user, will then go through and execute. Or if it's suspicious, it will challenge you with a 2FA challenge, like on another channel, email or something. Ask, is it really you? Right? Like people know from, I mean, also typical 2FA experience in the Web2, and then you can still decide if that's really what you want to do or not. So that's, and this is enforced here, right? Like with on-chain, because we have these 2 keys. Good. Another cool thing you can do is the idea of session keys. So we want to get rid of all these approvals, right? The complexity. So here, consider a game which wants to do lots of transactions with the user because, I mean, it's an on-chain experience. You need to, I don't know, buy bricks. This is, yeah, basically a game to build NFTs out of bricks. You need to buy it, you need to assemble it, all kinds of things. So, and every time you need to bother the user, right, with the wallet, like sign this, and so on. But with session keys, you can remove this. So you would only ask the user once for an approve key, a session key, and saying like, but with a specific scope, right? So like, we want to start a session, and we want to spend maximum 10 DAI, and on these operations, and it will expire in 1 hour. Right? This is what the UI shows. And then the user can say, oh yeah, that's fine for me, that's okay. I confirm, and then a signed token, basically kind of a temporary key, will go back to the dApp, and then from now on, the wallet is basically invisible, right? You don't need it anymore. The dApp can directly interact and do these things if you click somewhere, which is much, much smoother. So we are working on this as well. Good. Last one, go passwordless with web concepts like WebAuthn or passkeys. So yeah, you might know, like I mean, on a secure enclave, on your mobile, there's, yeah, in theory, we always could use this directly to sign transactions. But the problem is the cryptography which is used on these secure enclaves is not compatible with most blockchains today. So basically, this elliptic curve which we are using is not the right one. So, but that's not a problem with account abstraction, we can basically put the logic there that we need and support this. And then it allows that you can sign with your mobile directly transactions, also using the biometrics of mobile, which is obviously a smoother experience. And yeah, these are related to the concept of WebOS and passkey. So yeah, to recap, users just want applications. They don't want wallets or chains and all these things, right? I think it's pretty clear. And we need to remove all the friction by bringing the best of Web 2 and Web 3 without compromising self-custody. And account abstraction is the key to do that, right? It basically, if we do all of that, we have a very smooth UX, and yeah, users are safer with recovery and all that things. And this is not just theoretical. So we at Argent have built a wallet which is much more focused on this, which is the web wallet, which can be directly integrated into dApps. And I brought a little video, which would be cool to show. So yeah, you log in with email, connected, you can do your stuff. I mean, there's just a swap. Yep. Exactly. This shows how easy it is to integrate for developers. Yep. Okay. And last slide. Whoop. Yeah, and this is live with more than 15 dApps on Starknet already, like all kinds of like NFT marketplaces, kind of an ENS, games, and all the AMMs. And yeah, if you are interested, you can scan the QR code that will go directly to the Web Wallet SDK. And yeah, I think this is, and it has, obviously, smart contracts have an audit. Also, the Web Wallet has a security audit. So, yeah, we took what we can care of that. And that brings me to my last slide. Yeah, thanks, everyone. And I would open for questions.
Questions?
Yeah, are you planning to bring the solution to native iOS or Android? And which could be the challenges when moving to these kind of platforms?
Yes, so I mean, we have, for many years, Argent started with a mobile app, like I think it's already 4 or 5 years there. And it's native apps on iOS and Android. And we have also launched now on Starknet. And yeah, we will bring, I mean, a few of the things are there, like multi-cores and all that stuff is already working, obviously, but things like session keys and so on, or the WebAuthn thing, we are working on that, yeah. But yeah, there will be challenges for sure, because like you have the Apple ecosystem with passkeys, a bit different than the Google thing. So yeah, but that's basically in the progress, yeah.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have any questions? We still have a few minutes until the next talk.
I didn't quite follow where the private key actually is. Like, where is the because so it's non-custodial, but they don't have a seed phrase. So how does that actually? Where does all the secret data live? And
yeah, so I mean, it depends now on which wallet mechanism. So it doesn't have a seed phrase. We might have obviously a private key because we still need to sign, right? But then, I mean, as with the mechanism I've shown, you could have another key recovery service, and then later, if you lose it, right, it's not a big deal because we can recover basically with a new key your account on chain. So there is
then it's basically custodial, right? I mean, if somebody else has got the key, then that's just as good, just the same as being custodial, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah, now it depends on the mechanism. So yes, if there's just one key and somebody else somehow gets access, but it will be, I mean, in mobile it is pretty hard to get to this key, so that's not an issue. If let's say we use the fraud monitor mechanism, there is also a second key, right, which needs to sign every transaction. So if you lose yours, then you have actually, it's not enough actually. You would also need to be able to authenticate to the fraud monitoring service or Argent today, but could be others, that it's you to get the second signature. So there's other mechanisms in place if you just lose the first private key. Yeah. But yeah, and in general, right, like if you want to have more and more, I mean, you would go for a multi-sig at some point. Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
I've been following Argent for a while, and you had a great adoption rate in the beginning.
Yeah.
One of the things that made it slow down was when you could not provide the gasless experience anymore.
Yes, that's correct.
And I still see you proposing the paymaster as a great feature to onboard more users.
Yeah.
I think that runs into the risk of having the same problem again once gas fees rise again. I know you're on Starknet now.
Yeah.
But what are the gas savings there compared to mainnet? Maybe 2/3 less?
Oh no, it's a lot. Right now for a normal transaction, I think you are 30 to 50 cent per transaction. But
Okay, that's comparable. Like
to Ethereum.
On mainnet, you pay less than $1.
Just today,
send
right?
Ethereum.
Because we don't have much going on. I mean, I paid much more in other years. So right now, yeah, okay, it's going along. But I mean, there is more. So basically, I mean, what is expensive today is still the storage, right? So the data availability to push it to Ethereum. That's what takes most of the cost. And there is also, I mean, I think like other chains as well, Starknet will bring Volition, which is another data availability layer, and then we go into sub 10 cent area of transaction cost. So it will go lower and lower. Yeah, that's where we are today. So, I mean, it depends also then on the DApp, right? Maybe they have a different way to basically to make money, so they can subsidize it. Then I'm not sure if we as Argent can do it like we had it in the beginning. We loved it, and it proved actually that it works, and that we were kind of right on the ideas. But yeah, Ethereum mainnet costs just killed it. So yeah.
Any further questions? If not, thank you so much, Thomas.
Thank you. Thank you.